A glowing creature fell from the sky into a quiet scientist's life, and nothing was ever the same again. It wasn't just a discovery. It was a connection between worlds. A choice that could change everything. But with government forces closing, and time running out, one question remained. Would he protect the last light of another world, or lose it forever? If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel, and like the video, and tell us where are you watching from now. Let's jump into the story. Dr. Nolan Ver did not believe in fate. He believed in facts. Every day for the past 6 years, he walked the same path to the innovation clinic in the Cypress district. His mornings were quiet, his routines strict, his life predictable. He liked it that way, but that morning, something changed. The air was colder than usual. The sky above New Haven was clear, pale blue, with the sun just starting to rise. Nolan sipped his coffee as he crossed the stone footbridge over Whisper Canal. The steam from the cup curled into the air, and he was already thinking about the reports waiting for him. Then he heard the sound. It was sharp, sudden, a loud crack that echoed through the empty street. He turned, eyes searching the sky. Something streaked downward, fast and glowing, like a comet on fire. It fell with a hiss and struck the sidewalk. Just 20 feet ahead of him, the ground shook. Sparks flew. His coffee cup dropped from his hand and shattered. Nolan ran forward without thinking. A shallow crater smoked in the center of the walkway. Broken stone surrounded a small shape lying still at its center. He approached slowly, his breath catching in his throat. It was alive. Curled in the center of the crater was a tiny creature. Its body shimmered with silvery blue scales. Wings, though damaged, were folded tightly against its sides. Its tail twitched slightly, and then it opened its eyes. They were the deepest shade of blue Nolan had ever seen. His first instinct was to call emergency services. His second was to step back and protect himself. But neither came fast enough. The creature looked up at him, blinked once, and let out a faint sound. Not a growl, not a cry, something softer, like a question. Nolan crouched beside it. "You're hurt," he said quietly. It didn't respond with words, but something in its eyes seemed to understand. He took off his coat and carefully wrapped the creature inside. It didn't resist. It didn't panic. It just shivered once and closed its eyes again. "What are you?" Nolan whispered. Back at his apartment, he laid the creature gently on a folded towel. His home was clean, full of plants and research materials. But now it felt different, like something sacred had entered. He turned on a heat lamp and placed it nearby. The creature remained still, breathing slowly. Nolan examined the wings. Torn. Membrane. No external bleeding. The scales along the back were cracked, but already beginning to heal. He couldn't explain it. None of his knowledge covered what he was seeing. He took a blood sample. It glowed faintly under the microscope. Cells moved in ways he had never seen. They responded to light, temperature, and even the rhythm of his heartbeat. This wasn't just biology. It was something else. By the time the sun reached its peak, the creature had woken up. It sat quietly, watching him with wide eyes. It didn't speak. It didn't try to escape. It simply observed. Nolan tried offering water. The creature drank carefully. He offered soft fruit. It ate, slowly but without hesitation. As the hours passed, he started talking to it, not expecting answers, just needing to fill the silence. "You fell from the sky," he said, "and now you're here, on my floor, in my coat. This isn't how science is supposed to work." The creature tilted its head, listening. He smiled. "You're not from here, are you?" It blinked once, twice, then reached out one tiny claw and touched the edge of his shoe. That night, Nolan couldn't sleep. He stood by the window, watching the city lights. Traffic moved below. Drones buzzed in the distance. He looked back at the creature, now sleeping under the lamp. His thoughts raced. If he reported this, the government would take it. He knew what they did with things they didn't understand. Test it, break it, maybe worse. But if he kept it hidden, what then? Was he ready to carry something this big? Before he could decide, the creature stirred. It looked up at him, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. He crossed the room and sat beside it. "You're not supposed to exist," he whispered. The creature reached out and placed one claw on his chest. A sudden warmth filled him, not just physical, something deeper. A pulse of emotion, memory, understanding. His breath caught. He saw flashes, stars, sky, fire, a place that wasn't Earth. And then silence. When it pulled back, Nolan was shaking. "You're not an animal," he said. "You're someone." The creature closed its eyes and rested again. Nolan stayed beside it until morning. His world had shifted, no longer ruled by facts alone. Now there was something else, something unknown, something that had fallen into his life like a burning star. And he wasn't ready to let it go. The morning light slipped through the blinds in soft, golden lines. Dr. Nolan Verse sat at his desk, staring at the small creature now curled beside the warm base of his lamp. It had been 2 days since the fall. 2 days since his life shifted from routine science to something he still couldn't explain. He had named the creature Kiri. Kiri was calm, curious, quiet. Not once had it acted with fear or aggression. Instead, it observed, learned, responded. Its eyes followed Nolan with focused intelligence, like it was always listening, always thinking. Nolan opened his laptop and scanned through international databases. No known species matched Kiri's structure. Not in biology. Not in genetics. Not even in deep cryptid archives. There was no record. No clue. "You're not from here," Nolan said aloud. Kiri blinked slowly in reply. The blood sample continued to defy analysis. Under the microscope, the cells seemed aware. They changed. Shape when observed. They responded to sound and emotion. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Nolan ran simulations. Chemical breakdowns. Heat mapping. Nothing followed the rules. He looked at Kiri again. "You're not just a creature. You're something more." The small being tilted its head and let out a soft sound. It wasn't random. It had rhythm, purpose. Nolan began recording each vocal sound. He logged the tone, pitch, and situation in which it occurred. Kiri responded when spoken to. Especially when called by name, it approached when invited. Stopped when asked. It understood language. He needed help, but not from another scientist. He sent a message to Nada Lee. Nada was a friend from university, a linguist who specialized in nonverbal and symbolic communication. Her work had taken her from forgotten tribal dialects to the whispers of artificial intelligence. They hadn't spoken in over a year, but she replied within the hour. "I'll be there tonight," her message read. That evening, Nada arrived. Her hair was tied back, her voice sharp but kind. She had the look of someone who lived in facts but dreamed of questions. Nolan opened the door and led her inside. Kiri was sitting on a small cushion near the heater, wrapped in a soft towel. Nada stopped in the doorway. "That's not a pet," she said. "No," Nolan replied. "It isn't." Kiri looked at her, then stood, slowly, cautiously. It stepped forward and extended one small claw. Nada bent to one knee. "Hello," she said gently. Kiri responded with a sound. High, gentle, melodic. Nada smiled. That was a greeting. She spent hours with Kiri, watching, Listening, recording. She began sketching the shapes Curie made in the air with its claws. Loops, symbols, patterns. None of them random. "This is language," she whispered. "Not just mimicry. It's structured." Thought. They set up cameras, voice recorders, light sensors. Nolan watched as Curie formed a circle on the table, then tapped it twice with its claw. "He's showing us something," Nada said. Nolan's mind raced. "This circle," he said, "could be a planet." "Or a portal," she added. Curie looked at them both and then closed its eyes. Suddenly, Nolan felt a jolt. He wasn't in his living room anymore. In his mind, a new world bloomed. Not through sight, but feeling. Stars, vast skies, towers of light, and sorrow. Deep sorrow. When the vision faded, he was breathless. "He's alone," Nolan said. "Lost." Nada placed a hand on his shoulder. "He's trying to tell us his story." Curie opened his eyes again, tired, glowing faintly. Nolan leaned forward. "What do you need?" Curie pointed to the stars drawn on the table, then to a power cell near the lab bench, then to himself. "He needs energy," Nada said. "Something strong, enough to send a signal." Nolan stood, paced. "We'd need a high-band transmitter and a focused energy core." "I might know where to get one," Nada said. "But it won't be legal." "Nothing about this is," Nolan replied. Outside, the sky darkened. A storm rolled in. The wind knocked against the windows. Inside, the three of them sat surrounded by cables, drawings, and tools. It looked like a lab, but it felt like something else. A beginning. Curie slowly climbed onto Nolan's lap. Curled there, warm, trusting, Nada whispered, "He sees you as his own." Nolan looked down. He had spent his whole life searching for answers in code and cells. Now, the most important discovery he had ever made had a name, a voice, and a story. And Nolan wasn't going to let that story end in silence. Between science and soul, something powerful had begun. And it was only the second night. The city of New Haven woke under a heavy gray sky. Quiet rain tapped at the windows of Dr. Nolan Ver's apartment. Inside, the room buzzed with energy. Cables ran across the floor. Blinking lights flashed from machines. And at the center of it all sat Curie, glowing faintly as he watched Nolan and Nada work. Curie's health had begun to change. His glow was dimmer. His wings hung lower. His steps were slower. Even his voice, once musical, now came softer, like a fading note. Nolan noticed every detail, every change. He felt a tightness in his chest each time Curie coughed or leaned too hard against the wall. "He's losing energy faster," Nolan said. "If we don't activate the transmitter soon, we might lose him." Nada stood across the room, connecting. A power cell to the homemade signal dish they had built from old drone parts and salvage tech. Sparks flew, but the system held. "The signal is ready," she said. "Once we align it with the coordinates he gave us, we can broadcast." Curie slowly walked over to the table and placed one claw on the map they had drawn. A small circle, with star marks around it. "That's home," Nada whispered. "Yes," Nolan said, "and we're going to help him reach it." But the whisper of hope was cut short. Outside, a quiet hum filled the air. Low, steady, growing louder. Nolan froze. Nida stepped to the window. "Drones," she said. "6 of them. Scanning." Nolan's voice dropped. "They found us." Curie looked up at them, his eyes calm, as if he had known this would happen. The door buzzed. A voice crackled through the speaker. "This is Director Fenmore of New Haven Containment Division. You are in possession of an unregistered bioform. Release the subject immediately." Nolan's stomach sank. Fenmore had arrived. a man known for precision and power. Once a scientist himself, he now led the department that handled unidentified life forms. Nolan had read about him. Cold, calculated, effective. "We don't have time," Nada said. Nolan grabbed the transmitter. "We'll go underground," he said, "into the service tunnels. There's still a way out." Curie followed without hesitation. They moved fast. Through the back stairwell. Down into the basement. Behind a locked grate, they found the old transport tunnels dark and forgotten. But safe. For now their footsteps echoed off the concrete. Water dripped from cracked pipes above. Graffiti covered the walls in faded colors. "We can reach the old observation tower from here," Nolan said. "High ground, open sky, perfect for the signal." Nada nodded. "We'll need to climb." They walked for hours, avoiding scanners and patrols. Curie grew weaker with each step. Twice, he collapsed. Each time, Nolan carried him. "Going to be okay," Nolan whispered. "Just hold on." Finally, they reached the tower. The metal stairs groaned under their weight. The wind howled through broken windows. But the view was clear. Above them stretched the open sky. NAIDA set the transmitter in place. "Ready when you are," she said. Nolan adjusted the settings. Curie placed his claw on the panel and closed his eyes. A soft hum began. Lights blinked. The dish turned upward. Then, the sound hit them. Engines. A spotlight flooded the rooftop. A ship hovered above them. Ropes dropped. Figures in dark suits descended. Director Fenmore stepped onto the roof. His voice was sharp and calm. "Step away from the creature." Nolan stood between them and Curie. "He's not a creature. He's someone." Fenmore raised an eyebrow. "That's not your decision to make." Curie struggled to stand. He stepped forward and looked directly at Fenmore. Then he raised one claw and placed it on his own chest. Slowly, he reached out and touched Fenmore's temple. The director didn't move. His eyes widened. For one silent moment, time paused. Then he stepped back. "I saw it," he whispered. "A world of peace, stars, light. He's not a weapon." Nolan nodded. "He's a traveler, and he needs to go home." Fenmore looked at the team behind him. "Stand down," he said. The guards hesitated, but they obeyed. Curie stepped into the center of the rooftop. The signal was ready. The light from the transmitter grew brighter, stronger. Rising into the clouds, Nolan reached for Curie. "Will we ever see you again?" Curie pressed his forehead gently against Nolan's single quotes. Images filled his mind. Stars, laughter, peace. Then Curie stepped into the light. A beam of golden energy surrounded him. Wind swirled. The rooftop trembled. And in a flash, he was gone. Just sky. And silence. NAIDA stood beside Nolan. He made it. Nolan nodded, wiping a tear from his cheek. He did. Week later, reports came in from around the world. Strange signals detected in the upper atmosphere. Patterns, songs, messages. No one could explain. Nolan didn't need to. He sat by the window each night, watching the stars. And sometimes, when the wind was just right, he heard a soft sound, like a whisper beneath the world. A soft glow covered the rooftops of New Haven as the sun began to rise. The city was quiet, streets still wet from the night's rain. Birds called faintly from power lines. High above it all, Nolan Ver stood alone on the edge of the old observatory tower, his eyes scanning the horizon. 7 days had passed since Curie vanished into the beam of light. 7 days of silence, 7 days of wondering. But this morning, something felt different. Nolan turned as Nada stepped onto the rooftop behind him. She carried a sealed package in her hands. Her face was calm but curious. "It arrived this morning," she said. "No return address." Nolan took the box carefully. It was smooth and light, wrapped in a strange metallic material. Not paper, not plastic, something else. He opened it slowly. Inside was a single scale, small, silver, glowing faintly. Beneath it was a folded piece of paper. One word written in Kiri's language. Translated, it meant home. Nolan closed his eyes and smiled. He made it, he said. Neda nodded. And he remembered. They sat down near the edge, the breeze brushing past them. The events of the last weeks felt like a dream, but the memories were sharp. The bond between them and Kiri was real, and it had changed everything. Neda turned to Nolan. What will you do now? He looked out across the city. I'll keep working, he said, but differently, more carefully, more openly. He held up the scale. This changes what we thought was possible. Life beyond this world. Kindness without words. Healing without harm. Neda stood. You should share the story. Nolan looked at her. Would anyone believe it? Maybe. Not, she said. But maybe that's not the point. Across the city, signs of change had already begun. The containment division, once hidden in shadows, was now under investigation. Director Fenmore had stepped down quietly. Reports leaked. Public outcry grew. People demanded answers. And scientists around the world began asking new questions. Hospitals in other cities started reporting odd recoveries. Quiet ones, unexplained, small flashes of healing that followed no treatment. Just sudden, peaceful change. Some believed it was the beginning of something new. Others called it a miracle. But Nolan knew. The bridge had already been built. Not one made of steel or stone, but light and trust and choice. A week later, Nolan returned to the rooftop one last time. He carried the transmitter with him. It had been damaged during the final activation. But he repaired it, not to send another message, but to listen. He placed it on the platform, connected the power, adjusted the frequency. For hours, there was only static. But as the sun dipped low, a new sound emerged, soft, melodic, like a song. Kiri's voice, not words, not a message, but music. Something pure, something shared. Nolan sat down, listening with his eyes closed. The city below him faded into the background, and in that moment, he didn't feel alone. He felt connected, not just to Kiri, but to something larger, something brighter. Neda joined him as the stars began to appear. One by one, slow and steady. She sat beside him in silence. Then she whispered, "He's still out there." Nolan nodded. And maybe others too. As the music continued, a new idea began to take shape. A project, a mission, not to capture, not to control, but to connect, to build a way forward. A way where science met soul, truth met wonder, and strangers became family. Months passed. Nolan and Neda opened a research center. Small at first, but built on new ideas. Collaboration, curiosity, compassion. They called it the Bridge Project. And on the walls, at the entrance, hung a single glowing scale. A reminder that somewhere far beyond the stars, a little dragon named Kiri once fell from the sky and chose a human heart to call home. That choice became a light, and that light became a bridge, not just to another world, but to a better one.